Exclusive contract with Feilu Fiction Network Novel. MOBA. Enhanced version of Faker Demon King. At the beginning, traveling through the S5 season, Yi-sun, who had worked hard to reach the master level, discovered that he could actually replicate his opponent's talent. Pair Faker and replicate the loot of the enhanced version of Peak Faker. Facing the steady stick, copy the enhanced version of the person in the tower and buff it, making it invincible under the tower. Encounter Wei Shen, copy the enhanced reverse Q skill Yi-sun. System, I think you're doing something. After seeing the explanation of the enhanced reverse Q skill, Yi-sun didn't have time to say it was really good and encountered a new problem. Why am I facing General Pawn? Can you copy the enhanced version of the factory director's escape skill for me? Partner with Big Brother, Elixir, Little Asterisk, and Nosha to recreate the glory of the dark forces. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Zhou Zijie's Cooking Skills. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In a spacious and bright house, a handsome man is sitting in front of the computer with a serious expression on his face. The room was very quiet, with only a few crisp and pleasant sounds of clicking the mouse and keyboard. After a long time, the sound of defeat appeared in the speaker next to the computer. Yi-sun leaned against the computer desk in a somewhat dejected manner, staring blankly at the screen in front of him. I have been born into this world for 22 years. Although I couldn't accept it at first, I have become accustomed to it now. This world is almost indistinguishable from his original world. The official launch of League of Legends 5 years ago was a great surprise for the protagonist. He was a League of Legends fanatic in his past life. Although he may not have reached the level of a professional player, he is still slightly ahead of the average player group. The well-known players such as Big Brother Gogoing, Wei Shen, and Hirano Aya are still at the top of their professional careers. Since the game was launched, he has been practicing hard, hoping that one day he can become a professional player and compete with these people. Unfortunately, after playing in the same position for so long, the segmentation can still be stopped by the Korean master. In his past life, he only had a golden section, but after crossing over, he fought hard to become a master of Hanfu. However, the problem is that Yi-sun only knows the card master as a hero, and if his card is banned, his combat power is almost greatly reduced. Perhaps due to his limited talent, despite his lifelong efforts, he tirelessly ranked and scored, but his level was still stuck in the master's rank. Yi-sun sighed again and closed the settlement interface. How about not pursuing a profession and going home to inherit billions of assets? I'm back. Just as Yi-sun was contemplating the big events of his future life, he heard the sound of the key turning from the entrance. You kid, haven't you been in the same position for another day? Not long after, as footsteps approached, a lively female voice came from behind him. Yi-sun didn't even need to turn back. Just by listening to his unique voice, he knew who had returned. He turned around and saw Zhou sitting on the sofa behind him without any image, his two slender legs casually resting on the other end of the sofa. I'm exhausted. Zhou also rubbed his sore heel in dissatisfaction. Speaking of Zhou, Yi-sun's feelings until now are still a bit complicated. He has known this well-known LPL new female commentator since he was young, and he has been like a childhood sweetheart to this day. So much so that the two gradually fell in love and became a couple. You don't seem to be in a very good mood today. Have you been kneeling in a row for 10 times all day? Zhou also silently stared at his back for a while, sat up directly from the sofa, and hugged him from behind. Maybe I'm not suitable for this bowl of rice. I can't even remember how many times I've been ranked or stopped at the master's rank. Yi-sun's heart was clear. His hero pool, oh no, should be called the hero spoon, only proficient in the card master hero. Although he also wants to expand his hero spoon and has been practicing the OP hero version for a while, unfortunately, he can't even reach the threshold for a master level. Don't give up. I think with your strength, you will definitely have a chance to join the professional team in no time. Zhou also saw Yi Sun's mood slightly lower, anxiously spoke up, and lowered his head to comfort Yi Sun's face. She never expected that Yi Sun, who had been smiling and encouraging her, would also have such a worried day. Zhou also looked at Yi Sun's face and vaguely recalled when he applied for a League of Legends commentator position. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to step in the door. At that time, Yi Sun accompanied her to the interview. Yi Sun watched her retreat and jokingly asked her, "Zhou, why don't you dare to go in? It's not like you." Zhou still couldn't move her steps. After some psychological counseling and relaxed atmosphere from Yi Sun, she took a deep breath and mustered the courage to enter the door of the interview. In the blink of an eye, she was able to stand on the commentary stage with a generous and appropriate smile without showing any fear, while chatting with the audience. In Zhou's heart, her dream of becoming an LPL female commentator all along cannot be achieved without the support and encouragement of Yi Sun. Mainly stuck in the segment of Master, no team will want it, right? Yi Sun and Zhou also chatted. "Yi Sun, I cannot achieve my dream without your encouragement and support. With such a vivid example in front of you, why don't you work hard and persist in your dream?" Zhou also spoke cautiously, his eyes quietly turning to him. "Persist in your dream again." Yi Sun's expression finally showed some movement. His dream has always been clear, which is to play professional matches. If it were just to give up so easily, Yi Sun would definitely not want it in his heart. Zhou also saw that Yi Sun's expression was showing signs of loosening, so he quickly intensified his agitation and said, "You think, standing at the top of the world, winning the championship, and everyone shouting your ID in their arms, that feeling. Isn't it very satisfying?" Sure, Zhou also directly helped him plan out the scene after winning the championship. "Why don't you help me think about Shit's same speech?" Yi Sun laughed at Zhou's words and said. "Isn't it not that? You agreed to pursue a career." Zhou also savored the meaning in Yi Sun's words and exclaimed in surprise. "I'm just saying, put in a lot of effort, why did you advance to the level of playing profession? The game upgrade doesn't even take you so fast." "Okay," murmured Yi Sun. "Don't worry about so much, I have my own way." Zhou also felt relieved and smiled. "But I will stick to it until the end of this year at most. If it doesn't work out, I don't plan to stick to the path of being a professional player anymore," Yi Sun candidly explained to Zhou. Okay, I know you're going home to inherit billions of dollars." Zhou rolled her eyes, but it didn't hurt her beauty. "I'll go help you cook first, and you'll sit in a row all day. I'm sure you haven't eaten anything." She stood up and left the room. Before leaving, she made a silent cheering gesture to Yi Sun, and thoughtfully led the door for him. Yi Sun's face instantly wrinkled into a bitter gourd upon hearing the words. It was not that Zhou's cooking was particularly unpleasant, but rather that eating her dishes depended on luck. Sometimes it's really delicious, sometimes it's really bad, and now he can only pray for good luck to have that 50% luck. Chapter 2. Opening Single Kill Faker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other hand, as Zhou closed the door, a mysterious smile appeared on her face. She silently thought about the surprise and decided to tell Yi Sun during the meal. She hummed a song and walked towards the kitchen. Yi Sun turned around and clicked to start the game. After a while, the interface changed to the BP screen. 5 people, he is on the 5th floor. Are all the big shots in this game? He is on the last floor, which proves that his rank score is the lowest in this game. Loading into the game system activation. The system is binding. It seems like there was something else besides the sound of the game loading just now. Yi Sun widened his eyes and couldn't believe the mechanical system prompt sound coming from his ear again. Congratulations to the host for successfully activating the super copy system. Every time you face a professional player in a professional competition, you can copy one of their abilities and strengthen it. The copied ability will be activated and used after this game. Sleeping Trough. Did he really activate the legendary golden finger that travelers must have? Before Yi Sun could be excited for more than a second, the system continued to chant in a mechanical tone. For the first time the host binds to the system, they can receive a beginner gift pack, X1. May I ask if the host has chosen to activate the beginner gift pack? This system is really generous. You still bring a beginner gift pack. If the system has a scoring system, he will definitely give it a 5-star rating. Open. Yi Sun spoke happily. The system continued to speak almost without pause. In this ranking game that the host is currently playing, it is possible to replicate the enhanced abilities of the opponent's singles. Only once, next limited to replicating the abilities of professional players in professional competitions. Ah! Yi Sun's face couldn't help but collapse. Is there a mistake? Is it useless for him to copy another player's ability that is similar to his rank? Is the purpose of this system to make him dominate in the master rank? It's not necessary. This beginner gift pack is for it's a bit too wasteful. Yi Sun looks dejected, thinking that he can awesome to the unlucky person who wants to be copied by him. At this moment, in the chat window in the bottom left corner, several teammates are engaged in intense discussions. Brothers, it seems like Hidienbush is on the other side. Damn it, brother, you're not joking, are you? You're really Hidienbush. It's true, I added a fake friend and they entered the game synchronously with me. Then I won't go there. Whoever you love will go. Several teammates pushed each other away and instead left the central unit to Yi Sun on the last floor. Hey, choose a stable hero on the last floor, don't give it away. Faker. Hidienbush. Wait. Does this ID look a bit familiar? This is not his Faker, the great demon king who has dominated LCK for several years. Yi Sun didn't react at first, looked at the chat box for a while, and then was hit by this huge surprise. The beginner gift pack has been successfully used, and the copied ability is Peak Faker's Shadow Flow Master, Enhanced Edition. The surprise on Yi Sun's face could hardly be sustained. The Shadow Master of Peak Faker. The ninja battle with Yu Luan at that time can be said to be the most sensational event of LOL. The duel between the two middle road defense towers, where you come and go moves, directly laid the foundation for Faker's reputation. Hidienbush. It can be said that as long as playing League of Legends, the vast majority of people should know who this ID represents behind it. Yi Sun is just a master of Hanfu, and surprisingly, he was lucky enough to be ranked as Faker. On the other side, Yi Sun immediately locked down the robbery. With this action, his teammates exploded. Sleeping Trough, brother, are you not mistaken? We all said that the other side may be Faker. Are you still choosing to rob? Looking for abuse? Done, brothers. There are actors. This minute is gone again, who of you should hurry up and take a second? Don't worry. Yi Sun typed down a line of words, with a confident smile on his lips. Don't give away the package to win. My teammates were so angry with Yi Sun's confidence that they couldn't speak. You will cry when you are killed alone. Both sides loaded the game, and when Yi Sun looked at the ID on the opposite side, it was indeed Faker. Hidienbush, the hero used is a witch. A duel between two assassins. Coincidentally, Yi Sun is interested in trying out the effectiveness of this beginner gift pack to see how strong it is. Even though Yi Sun replicated the enhanced version of Faker's abilities, when facing Faker personally, the pressure from professional players cannot be underestimated. Moreover, in the early stages of the calamity, when facing long-handed assassins like Yaoji, they are in a weak position before reaching level 3, so they still need to be very careful. We have to wait for level 6. Yi Sun played very lewdly. In the early stages, he basically huddled under the tower and robbed his sword. His movements were extremely good, and he managed to reach level 6 with full health. Then it's my turn to follow the rhythm. Yi Sun chuckled lightly and took advantage of the demon princess's return to the city to replenish her equipment. He crawled into her blind spot and flew straight down the road. Add a set of skills to the ultimate move, and instantly kill a duo who cannot react in time. You have killed a hero. You have obtained a double kill. This wave of wandering has directly helped establish some advantages for the next step. When facing the demonic concubine again, the two-headed robbery already had 2 more short swords than him. Yao Ji's performance remained stable, and Yi Sun was not in a hurry. The two continued to repair their swords, occasionally using their skills to consume each other. However, not long after, a killing message popped up in the middle. 0, Lord of Shadow Flow, killed Hidianbush, witch. Upon returning to the middle road, the witch let out a scream and collapsed heavily at the feet of the robber. My teammates looked at the familiar ID killed by the card and couldn't help but put question marks on the public screen. I didn't read it wrong, did I? Surprisingly, the passerby's robbery alone killed Faker's witch. You should know that compared to Faker's calamity, the Demon Queen is not inferior. Undoubtedly, it is an enhanced version of the peak Faker's ability, which is also too powerful. Yi Sun sighed. He felt the improvement in his consciousness and operation, which was completely different from his previous self. In other words, if he were to match his current self with his previous self and add 1 level to his 10 blade replacements, he would have confidence in killing his previous self at level 3. The Lord of Shadow Flow, relying on his strong ability to capture people and his elusive presence, directly killed the ADC on the opposite side and dared not leave the spring water. The AD on the opposite side wanted to recruit troops under the high ground defense tower, but was still captured by robbery. Don't even use big moves, just take away a set of combos. It is difficult to secretly develop under the threat that may arise at any time due to the successive setbacks on the opposite side. Chapter 3. Trial OMG. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They are afraid that if they are collecting troops online or fighting in the wilderness, a shadow of a ninja will suddenly appear next to them. Once the robbery is taken out, the WEAQ combo will directly take away the crispy skin, and as for the front row meat tank, there may only be 1 more big move. The ranking of this game even ended in less than 20 minutes. When Yi Sun withdrew from this round of qualifying, his teammates played a good game on the public screen. Both teammates and opponents sent friend requests to Yi Sun in this game. Faker is currently far away in the SKT-1 training room, listening to his teammates shouting and screaming in his ears. Surprisingly, Xiang Hegi was brutally killed by passers-by in the Master's Bureau. The nearby Bang couldn't help but widen his eyes as he watched the entire match. Isn't it possible? Xiang Hegi is not in good form today. Benji also approached curiously and asked. I made a mistake, but he did play well. Faker gave a faint smile as if he didn't care, but he silently remembered Yi Sun's ID. 02. He remembers not having this ID among professional players, he's really a passerby. On the other side. Yi Sun looked at Faker's ID before leaving the room and recalled the S5 era. If he remembers correctly, LPL is still under the rule of LCK, and Faker still maintains his image as the Great Demon King and stands firm. Although EDG won the championship in the mid-season MSI Invitational this year, their performance in the S tournament only ended up in the quarterfinals. If possible, Yi Sun also wants to play professionally, compete on the same stage with all the players, and have a good competition. Now with the suddenly activated Golden Finger system, it seems that this dream is also within reach. Yi Sun decided not to give up, taking advantage of the hot state and continuing to rank. Set a small goal first, King. The operation he played in the previous game of robbery can be said to be superb. After gaining the Faker enhanced version of the looting ability, he couldn't help but take another loot. However, what Yi Sun may not know is that some OB anchors have already recorded the entire match. Originally, the anchor and many viewers were watching Faker's perspective, waiting for the witch to brutally harm the passers-by across the street. Did you see Yi Sun dare to choose a robbery in front of Faker? The barrage couldn't help but laugh. However, as the plot developed, the barrage was simply dumbfounded, and more people flooded into the live broadcast room of the anchor. Sleeping slot, sleeping slot. Why did this guy just kill the demon concubine alone? I didn't even see the trick clearly, and AD collapsed. Will the anchor slow down the playback? Hurry up. Isn't this be amazing? Which professional team does he belong to? Isn't he making a lot of money? If he's really a layman, wouldn't the team quickly take him down? I checked and found that Faker's opponent was a pure passerby. Out of the 10 players in the ranking, 9 were card masters, and the remaining 1 was a card that was banned. Is emotions a professional athlete's substitute for the number? That's boring. The barrage sighed a few times, and then like a tide, they all withdrew from the live broadcast room. Yi Sun had no idea about the small controversy caused by this match. He just rubbed his hands and quickly joined the next game with just a click of the mouse. Let's stay up all night tonight. As soon as he entered, he enthusiastically typed on the team's public screen, 2L, win. Although Yi Sun had such ambitions, what he didn't know was that Zhou had already quietly arranged a huge surprise for him tomorrow, but now it's hard to say whether it's a surprise or a little more frightening. Within the OMG base. Tomorrow there will be a new single player coming for trial training. The elixir looked up from the computer screen, as if unable to believe Gogoing's words. Yeah, I heard it was highly recommended by Zhou. The head coach couldn't resist, so let him try the water. Gogoing nodded and sat down in his seat. Zhou also recommended it. It's not like you came to play with us, is it? At first, his mind tightened, and with Gogoing's explanation, he felt relieved. The recent performance of Statelessness has indeed been a bit inferior to before, and the rank score has not been able to improve. He accidentally heard the news that OMG executives were discussing plans to replace him. At first, he was very nervous when he heard the news of the replacement from the senior management, but the person in the trial training may have been very agitated, and his heart relaxed again. Maybe. If it's really fierce, your starting position in the cool would be dangerous, the elixir joked. I was just talking to the coach, and he casually mentioned that the newcomer who came for the trial should be a hero who specializes in playing cards and is a master of Korean clothing. As Nuosha spoke, he adjusted his appearance in the mirror and turned to the computer after being satisfied. Specializing in cards. Master. It means that besides cards, other heroes don't know anything. Why are people like this trying to train? With a sneer, he said, then I'll ban his cards and see what heroes he can play with. Being in a state is really not a good person. You can be so ruthless when dealing with the master, the elixir responded. The rest of the crowd wanted to laugh, but couldn't come out laughing. The current situation of OMG is on the brink of danger, and the remaining few games of BO2 must be won in order to enter the playoffs. However, the next team they will face is the LGD during its heyday of strength. God. Just this ID can make everyone's heart sink. This is also the reason why OMG coach agreed to Zhou and Yi Sun's trial. No matter what level of operation he has, let him give it a try first. After all, our current situation is really difficult. The coach has no choice, the OMG is almost in a desperate situation now. If we don't make any changes, we may have to be abandoned in the playoffs first. Among the entire starting team of OMG, only their ADC was present. Jian proudly did not join their conversation once, but instead stared at the screen with his headphones on. I am alone in the corner, silently sorting on the Hanfu single row, without hearing anything outside the window. In a villa not far from the OMG base, Yi Sun and Zhou also sat in the restaurant, just about to start their meal. What are you saying? Yi Sun's eyes widened and he looked up at Zhou Shi in astonishment. OMG trial, what's wrong? Zhou Shu also tilted his head and blinked at him. Are you talking about me? Yi Sun pointed at himself incredulously. Zhou Shu actually got himself a spot for OMG trial training. Hee, right. Isn't it a pleasant surprise? Zhou Shu also chuckled and looked at Yi Sun's reaction with an expectant expression. Chapter 4. And Stateless Solo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You have this news. Yi Sun digested the explosion news that Shu Yi just said next week. What comes with it is surprise. He and Zhou Shu have a close relationship, and just as he was thinking of finding a team for a trial, Zhou Shu brought him good news. I really helped him a lot. It's not easy to get the OMG trial qualification. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, remember to be on time. Zhou Shu also helped Yi Sun pick up a chopstick of food. That's for sure, you can't be late. Yi Sun promised. Early the next morning, Yi Sun drove to the OMG base under the leadership of Zhou Shi. Not far from Yi Sun getting off the car, a staff member who looked like a staff member walked over and led the two into the entrance of the base. With the guidance of the staff, the two walked all the way to the League of Legends branch of the OMG base. As he approached the training room, the faces of several team members in Yi Sun's field of vision changed from blurry to clear. At this moment, they all lined up, wearing headphones and staring intently at the computer screen in front of them, occasionally exchanging a few words with their teammates. Yi Sun stood outside the door, watching the familiar IDs gradually overlap with the real faces. Going, Yuzi, Stateless, are they playing a training match? Zhou Shu also asked curiously. It should be. Yi Sun turned his head and even wanted to get closer to the computer screen to carefully observe. You're here. A middle-aged man wearing black-framed glasses with a sparse head walked towards them with a smiling face. Coach, this is the trial candidate I recommended to you. Zhou Shu also turned his head to look at the middle-aged man in front of him and said a few polite words. Then bring Yi Sun to the coach. Is that him? The coach rubbed his chin back and forth, and looked carefully at Yi Sun. Recalling the communication between Yi Sun and the Stateless before he arrived at the base. I don't think it's necessary to solo with a master, and if only the cards can be played, then it's even less necessary, said the speechless speaker. It's because he only knows how to play cards, the coach expressed his thoughts comprehensively. Our current system is more suitable for playing cards, and we need support and vision both up and down the road. I can also play this hero card, can I? As long as the supporting vision is provided in place, that's all, he said without hesitation. Let him give it a try first, we'll talk about it later. The coach also had a headache, as being in a state of absence is really state of absence now, and he insisted on selecting some heroes with too high an upper limit on gameplay. Moreover, the stateless state cannot withstand the overwhelming situation of the OMG building, both in terms of mentality and operation. The young people who came to Yi Xuanji for trial training couldn't even beat him without any form, let alone talk about it. Hello, Yi Sun smiled politely. Yi Sun's voice pulled the distracted coach back and said, Zhou Shu also strongly recommended you to come for a trial. After the stateless training match, you can just have a solo game. The coach led the two into the training room. Yi Sun looked at the computer screens of the team members. The starting players are playing against the EDG team, whose performance this year is not inferior to that of LGD. The stateless data has reached 0.2. The next second, he was killed again by the opponent's single winder, and the data became 0.3. This training game OMG should be gone. Yi Sun silently evaluated in his heart. After a while, the ending was as expected by Yi Sun, and OMG was decisively pushed away by a wave of base crystals. After the game ended, several players remained silent. They had to face the strong Team LGD in their next game, and they had to win all the BO2 in each game. How easy is it to talk about? Stateless, come and have a fight with the solo from this middle unit who came for trial training. It's called Yi-sun, right? You're sitting here. The coach spoke out first and arranged for Yi-sun to be directly across from the Stateless computer. Oh, here we go. Quickly exited the training competition interface without any state, and opened the custom room. Without much conversation, Yi-sun logged into his account and entered the room directly. Seeing Yi-sun's account enter without any state, he simply initiated this game. Other people couldn't muster up their energy to do anything else for a moment, but instead gathered behind the Stateless or Yi-sun, waiting for the start of this trial. 3 ban positions. Stateless proposal. Can one blood determine the winner? Yi-sun casually bantered 3 heroes, sea, land, and air, and asked. Of course. He curled his lips in a state of pleasure, selected the card master with the mouse, and clicked to disable it. The coach was momentarily stunned, wanting to speak up to stop him, but then chose to remain silent. He also wanted to see how well Yi-sun controlled other heroes besides cards. But in the coach's heart, he still feels a bit angry about his reckless behavior that disregards advice. Yi-sun habitually found the position of the card master, but found that the hero had turned black and white, making it impossible to choose. Disabled. He immediately glanced at the upper right corner and saw that the opposite side had lost cards, Enchantress, and Clockwork in sequence. Yi-sun hesitated for a moment, then smiled. The blatant malice in a stateless state is almost impossible to hide, without any concealment. Card Master, Zhou should have had a background with the coach before, so the coach made an exception and agreed to let him come for a master-level trial. But now when there is no state, it is directly banned during solo. And the Clockwork Fairies he banned were all version op heroes, or in other words, heroes that he could mix with. I think I want to make fun of myself. Yi-sun no longer hesitated, but found the Shadow Flow Master from the selection panel and locked it directly. Robbery. Not only was it stateless, but even Zhou was taken aback. Isn't he only good at playing cards? When will Yi-sun play with robbery? However, this hero's performance in solo is also considered top-notch. The other party is probably a hero who really doesn't have a chance to fight, so they thought about using this hero to fight. But to rob this hero, the operational difficulty is already extremely high. A master level who only knows how to play cards is not a concern at all. Thinking of this without hesitation, I directly chose Little Fish Man. Robbing the Little Fish Man. Woohoo, do you want to take level 3 directly without any state? The spiritual medicine stood behind the state and exclaimed in surprise. Jia and Fishman are both heroes who can take the opponent away with a set of explosive attacks at level 3. It depends on who has a more delicate operation. I prefer stateless. I heard that newcomers who come for trial training only know how to card, so it's a bit excessive to just ban them without any state. This is truly a rare duel between 2 assassins, with a direct confrontation. Everyone held their breath and waited for the opening of this solo competition. Both sides have adjusted their rune talents. Entered the game. Chapter 5. Confident Single Kill. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As soon as he entered the game, Yi-sun purchased equipment, a long sword, and 3 bottles of health medicine. Yi-sun swiftly operated the robbery and rushed towards the middle road. As soon as he reached the line, he saw a small fish man also appearing in his field of vision on the other side. Yi-sun did not rashly step up to level A or lose Q skills, but observed the habitual movements of Little Fish Man. The Little Fish Man kept moving left and right, as if to avoid the darts that could be thrown out at any time by the robber. However, Yi-sun's operation was calm and unresponsive, with no action at all. It seems that this newcomer is just like that. The army line is almost here, and they don't even know the basic expenses in the early stage. With such contemptuous thoughts, the state saw the moment of the calamity take action. A Q skill wielded a sword, accurately hitting him who habitually moved to the right. The health of the little fish man has been worn down by this Q skill. Does this person like to play unexpectedly? I didn't take the hit of this Q skill seriously even though I was in a state of no state. Maybe the robbery was purely a crooked attack. He focused his energy on the newly arrived military line. The first wave of soldiers went online and gathered on the middle line of the road. Jia and Zijie approached the small soldier in the middle, maintaining a certain distance from the opponent. We need to compete for the second level, and it's best to always be the first to dominate the level. Yi-sun originally intended to consume the little fish man in the early stage, but after weighing the options, he still gave up the idea of consuming the little fish man in the early stage. Start flattening A. The state also saw Yi-sun's thoughts and began to repair the knife to grab the second level. However, due to the passive nature of the loot, ordinary attacks will deal additional magic damage to targets with health below 50%. In this regard, the loot's clearing efficiency is slightly faster than that of the little fish man. While repairing the knife, throw the cooled Q skill again towards the fish man in the direction of the minion. Although the fisherman consciously wanted to avoid this dart, he was predicted to be in his position by the robbery. The second wave of soldiers also happened to arrive at the line at this moment, slowly overlapping with the first wave of soldiers. Both of them almost simultaneously made it to the last round of the second wave of minions. But it was still Jia who advanced to level 2 first, and little fish man slowed down slightly. Yi-sun learned the W skill in seconds and threw a shadow clone towards the front, but did not immediately throw his Q skill. The little fish man saw the action of the robbery and instinctively thought that the robbery wanted WQ second company. When the shadow flew over, he finally couldn't help but use the E skill to dodge for the first time. But I didn't see any trace of the Q robbing skill. You've been fooled. Unconscious awareness. The little fish man jumped into mid-air with a pole and sat down again in front of the robber's position. Splashing water around, causing range damage and slowing down on nearby soldiers. Be vigilant of any skills that may be thrown out of the loot. Fortunately, Yi-sun consciously moved backwards when the little fish man jumped into the air, avoiding the splashing range damage caused by eating the little fish man. Although the little fish man did not consume the loot, the health of the minions decreased significantly. If they were to level 3, the little fish man would actually be faster than the loot. But at the moment when little fishman landed, Jia took advantage of the moment when little fishman's E skill was stiff and threw out the Q skill in his hand. The fish man ate the 2 Q skills thrown out by the clone and the main body at the same time. Seeing a good opportunity, Yi-sun chose to exchange positions with the shadow clone and level A up. Robbing 2 skills and firing a flat A directly triggers thunder, and with the consumption of the previous Q skill, the little fish man's health drops directly to around half health. At this moment, after unleashing the thunder, he did not continue to draw A, but instead stopped and began to replenish the last bit of health of the minions. The little fish man was beaten up and instead dared not step forward. He knocked on a crystal bottle, shrunk behind the soldier to restore health, and continued to wait for the opportunity. A few team members gathered behind the two began to discuss quietly. This one came for trial training, it seems like there's something there. Indeed, the details of the alignment are quite good, and it doesn't look like you only know how to play cards. It's a bit miserable to be in a state of no state. The second level slowed down a bit and got beaten like this. There's something about predicting the action of Rob. WOC, the little soldier didn't miss a single one. And he also consumed half of the little fishman's health. Turtle. Although he was wearing headphones, the sound of whispering behind him still came into his ears. His face darkened and he stared at the computer screen with a serious expression. He did underestimate the newcomer who came for trial training before, and even had a sense of humor when he dropped his cards. But what he didn't expect was that the new trainee in front of him, besides the card master, would also have a chance to rob. The coach couldn't help but feel a hint of surprise in his eyes. Yi Sun's current performance is completely at the level of a professional player. This solo game is still ongoing, and although he has almost recovered his state with the help of the crystal bottle, he is already 2 minions behind. If this continues, Jia will definitely advance to level 3 ahead of him. But it's not a big problem. He could have relied on his E-skills to advance to level 6 in the early stages and still have a chance. Calm down in a state of mind and continue to replenish troops. However, they will still be robbed if the thrown dart unfortunately hits. The last soldier. Yi Sun silently recited in his heart that the last small soldier from Jipping A was raised to level 3. He learned the E skill in seconds and directly scraped 1.5 circles at the little fish man. The little fish man is only 1 soldier away from reaching level 3, and he dares not compete with the robber gang. He moves backwards. Use the cooled E skill to dodge the loot and the following level A and Q skills. Jia didn't catch up, and when the little fish man saw this, he wanted to use his E skill to turn around. Unexpectedly, as soon as he landed and made up for the last soldier to level 3, Jia came forward with the W skill. WQAE combo, the small fish man's health was directly damaged, and at this time, he also appeared to be in an ignited state effect. Just now, Yi Sun didn't step forward. He was just waiting for a wave of skills and yellow bars to recharge, and he didn't expect that the level of the little fish man was suppressed. Under the E skill CD, he dared to turn back. It's broken. In a state of unconsciousness, he was startled and handed over the flash to his own tower. However, Jia also followed the direction of the little fish man and dodged up. He hit the small fish man with a passive damage and then turned back gracefully. Why retreat after paying both moves? I feel like Zijie can't die. Isn't this newcomer too arrogant? I also think. It's really inflated confidence. Now it's good, the little fish man has 1 more spark than him. At the corner of his stateless mouth, he looked at his own health and felt that he wouldn't die, just as he outlined a smile. The little fish man was just ignited and burned off his last bit of health, and collapsed under the defense tower. Sleeping trough. Surprisingly, the little fish man is really gone. This damage calculation ability is also amazing, isn't it? The onlookers were all shocked. Chapter 6. Single kill again, silent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 0 killed OMG cool, title C spirit, winning. The onlookers around were shocked. Sleeping in a slot, are you really losing without a state? It seems that Jia didn't lose much health throughout the entire process. Now half of his health is still due to being hit by a defense tower. This is also known as only knowing how to play cards. What about boasting? Killing a stateless single at level 3 is at least the first among so many people who came to try it out. I really played it well, the details were in place, said Go going from a god's perspective as he watched the entire process. Repairing the sword is also very impressive. If it weren't for killing the fish man and missing 2 soldiers, even if you fought for $100, you would still have won the robbery. The coach remained silent, but finally a long-lost relaxed smile appeared on his face. Just as Yi Sun was about to withdraw from the match, the other side, who was in a state of unconsciousness but breathing rapidly, stopped him and said, "Wait a moment, let's have another round." At the same time, it also interrupted the coach who was about to speak, and many people's eyes simultaneously focused on the unconscious body. "I have already won," Yi Sun responded expressionlessly. He naturally won't be polite to people who have harbored malice towards him from the beginning. "I just kept jumping on the FPS, but the net wasn't very good. Now that it's good, let's continue playing this game and don't have to start another game." I panicked with a red heart on my face, shamelessly demanding to continue solo. The onlookers around seemed frozen for a second, not expecting to be so shameless in seeking trouble without any state. Zijie and Gogoing were even more stunned. We all lost, can you still request another one? If they lose, it's their style to simply admit defeat. Okay, keep going, then. Yi Sun laughed at the reason he was looking for in a state of unconsciousness. Since you think it's because of the poor internet, let's make sure you understand now. Robbed home, replenished a wave of equipment, and walked back to the line. At this moment, the fish man also happened to be resurrected, almost returning to the online world like the robbery. The double moves of the robbery have been used up, and the ignition of the little fish man is still there. If it weren't for his carelessness just now, it's still uncertain who will win or lose. Statelessness silently finds good reasons for oneself in the depths of one's heart, making little fish man's movements more aggressive. However, the robbery did not diminish the position of the little fish man, as he had directly wielded a serrated dagger on his body. The little fish man doesn't have much money, he only got a murder ring. Another wave of small soldiers has already gathered along the central route. As Yi Sun waited for the position of the little fish man to come and replenish his troops, he quickly threw the WQE skill towards the front, killing 3 small soldiers in a second. At the same time, 2 boomerangs also passed through the body of the little fish man. Damn it, this wave of consumption has caused a big loss for the little fish man. I was stunned, okay. It happened to be the moment when Zijie and Ping made a move, and there was no time to switch positions. A youth training team member's face was shocked. The timing and operation are too extreme, this guy. The little fish man's health was directly consumed by a set of skills to nearly half of his health, so he had to retreat to the back of the army pile and knock on a crystal bottle to restore his health. I dare not surrender my skills casually even if I am in a state of no state, fearing that I will be captured by a set of skills again when I have no evasion skills. However, due to giving 1 blood, his level has fallen 1 level behind the loot. Both of them used up a lot of each other's health by pulling each other, but because they didn't have a chance to kill each other, they were still recruiting and developing. Shouldn't it be the final victory or defeat at level 6? But I think the new trainee's promise to continue solo without any form is a bit exaggerated. They have already won, is this the leader? Both sides' health levels are similar. It depends on whether Jie can grasp the advantage at level 6 in advance. In the middle of the army line pile, after several waves of supply from the army line, the robbery is about 3 soldiers short of reaching level 6. Unconsciously knowing that Jie must have arrived at level 6 earlier than him, he consciously lowered his line and retreated to the bottom of the tower. Do we not want any soldiers anymore? Seeing the little fish man's retreat, the reinforcements slowed down. The troops gradually pushed towards the side of the little fish man, and with the help of the crystal bottle, the little fish man's health gradually returned to full. But the robbery remained calm and did not take any action. Yi Sun also thought about crossing the tower directly, but after calculating the damage and using a set of skills to enhance his skills, he couldn't possibly kill the opponent in seconds without using the Ignite and Little Fishman skills. He still dispelled the idea. Everyone thought it would be the first time to take action, but what they didn't expect was the moment when the little fish man, with the help of the defense tower, rose to level 6 and learned the R skill in seconds. In his hand, a continuously expanding shark flew towards the robbery that was being repaired. I was also surprised. Stateless thinking that at close range, no one should be able to avoid it. However, Jie noticed the small fish man's big move, and at the same time, his hand quickly formed a seal. Jie disappeared in place, and the small fish man's big move was lost. A black mist emanated from the body of the little fisherman, which is the locking effect of the robbery move. At the moment when Jie in the air just showed his figure, a set of super fast WEAQ combos. In a state of unconsciousness, he was startled and quickly used pole vaulting to avoid it, but Yi Sun's hand speed was faster than his reaction. The little fish man was directly hit to a state of residual health by a set of 3 flowers gathering, and there was also a powerful move damage that exploded 2 seconds later on his body. Done. After robbing a set of combos, exchange shadows with the position of the W skill and turn around gracefully. The fishman's ultimate move was only now activated, and a huge shark leaped up in front of him. Although Little Fish Man is still in an effect that cannot be selected by E skills, his ending is already predetermined. After a moment, the Bloody Fish Man died suddenly at the moment of launching the robbery move. 02, Shadow Flow Master, killed OMG, cool, title C Spirit, the people around were all silent. If the first single kill can be considered luck, then the second single kill can be considered an affirmation of strength. My grass. Did it really die 2 waves in a row without state? This is too embarrassing, isn't it? In the starting profession, I was randomly killed by a bystander who is said to be a Hanfu master. There is really an explanation for this trial training. I feel like if I were to compete with him, it might have been around level 3 and gone. Even with headphones on, the sound of discussion still echoed into the Stateless ears. He gritted his teeth tightly and his face was tense. The coach had an excited expression on his face, and before he asked for another game to prevent being in a state of unconsciousness, he said first, Yi Sun's solo performance in this game was indeed good. Whether it was the overall situation or the operation, it showed me the upper limit of this hero's operation. Chapter 7. Joining the Dark Forces. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In addition to the coach, Uzi and Gogoing also affirmed the coach's statement and gave feedback. It's really strong. I would rather be a teammate than an opponent. The coach and starting team spoke one after another, and the onlookers had already vaguely realized something. Then they heard OMG's coach speak with joy. Let's welcome Yi Sun to join the OMG team. Did you just join the team so easily? Yi Sun had just exited the game interface and hesitated for a moment, feeling a bit uncomfortable with the rhythm of OMG joining immediately. But I still stood up from my position and smiled to get to know Uzi, Gogoing, and others. In the past, it was unimaginable to be teammates with these people. We woke up at 9 a.m. specifically for your trial, Uzi joked. Everyone else approached curiously to communicate with OMG's new China dealer, except for Nova standing on the side with a frown on her face. When he saw Yi Sun show his face, there was a feeling that threatened him. If he stood with Yi Sun, it is certain that the vast majority of female fans would cast their gaze on Yi Sun. I won't go through the process of applying for team membership. I will directly report the list to the official team later, and I will play directly tomorrow. The coach patted Yi Sun's shoulder with relief. OMG is now in a state of life and death. Originally, he planned to keep playing without form, but today's trial had an additional surprise. With the coach's words, the excitement surrounding Yi Sun faded away from curiosity, and the atmosphere became low and tense. Are you coming on so soon? Yi Sun didn't expect that OMG was really a representative of doing whatever you want. After confirming the results of the trial the day before, he appeared directly the next day. Someone saw Yi Sun's confusion and patiently explained to him, how to put it, OMG is currently at a critical moment, and we cannot lose a single game in the next game. Yes, the current state of the cool. I really can't bear the pressure of future matches. Gogoing's statement is quite euphemistic. They lost to a bottom team in the league before, which was unexpected. Both up and down the road are advantages, but the middle road is the biggest breakthrough. In that game, he unconsciously defeated the fat flowing oil raised in the opposite field, and when he saw ADC, it was just an unreasonable set of combos and a quick kill. It was only after this game that the coach made up his mind to directly switch players and recruit them for trial training. Yi Sun nodded in understanding and accepted their statement. We have scheduled a training match with we this afternoon. Yi Sun, you can go on the field and get in touch with them, especially you, Ling Yao, and practice center field coordination with Yi Sun more. The coach was about to report the roster and didn't forget to instruct them before leaving. OMG, and we were the two most popular teams before the S5, but unfortunately they have gradually declined, making them difficult brothers. Okay. No problem. Okay. Yi Sun and the starting team agreed one after another, but the spiritual medicine sitting next to him remained silent. Being in a state is considered the most compatible friend of the elixir within the team, but without hesitation, being replaced by the coach has made him somewhat unhappy. Although the Stateless solo lost to this newcomer, tomorrow is the moment of OMG's survival, and his coordination with this newcomer is definitely not as good as his collaboration with the Stateless center field. The people around scattered one after another, leaving behind a few starting players. Although several team members still have a hint of old teammate affection towards the lack of form, there is nothing they can do about it. Unconsciously playing poorly and refusing to admit it, always blaming teammates for not supporting. Yi Sun saw all of this and didn't say much, but pulled Zhou out of the OMG base. Why is your robbery so powerful? When did you secretly practice it? Zhou also smiled and took the initiative to start the conversation. When she saw Yi Sun's card master ban without any state, her heart was so scared that it almost stopped suddenly. Haha. I practiced yesterday, I didn't expect to use it so quickly today, sighed Yi Sun. A day. You're still not human, even if you can play so fiercely. Zhou was also slightly surprised. Speaking of which, I'm probably going to be very busy next. After the regular season, it's the playoffs. After winning the championship, I'll go straight to the S game, Yi Sun joked. Wow, I'm not young, my tone is quite strong. Zhou also forced a smile. She suddenly thought that after Yi Sun became a professional, he could only live at the base, and she would soon not be able to meet Yi Sun for a long time. Zhou also bit his lips and began to regret letting Yi Sun come to OMG for a trial. What's wrong with you? Yi Sun asked with concern when he saw Zhou's rare silence. It's okay. Zhou also closed her eyes and hugged Yi Sun tightly. She remembered that being a professional athlete was Yi Sun's dream of tirelessly striving for it. What does it matter if it's just a period of separation? Anyway, life is still long. The two of them warmed up in place for a while, and Zhou reluctantly bid farewell to Yi Sun and drove straight home. After seeing off Zhou, Yi Sun turned his head and looked at the gate of the OMG base, taking a deep breath. Stepping into it again, my identity has undergone a great transformation. People around noticed Yi Sun's appearance. Is this the new middleman who killed the Stateless player twice in a row today? You look so handsome. My mom looks like this and doesn't go to the entertainment industry to pursue a career. This little brother is also very skilled in handling things. The person from the youth training just asked me to bring a video to review and analyze. I was on the scene, and I testified that it was him. Yi Sun was a bit unaccustomed to the attention and whispers of the people around him. He accelerated his pace and returned to the training room, waiting for the afternoon training match and the adjustment of his teammates. Although he estimated that running in might not necessarily have much effect, first and foremost it was the elixir, and he had already anticipated the difficulty of the midfield linkage. Since losing to him in a state of unconsciousness, the expression of the elixir has not been very good. An auxiliary Nosha doesn't know why he seems to have an inexplicable hostility towards him. Only Uzi and Gogoing seem to be relatively easy to get along with. I have already submitted the list, and after the training match, we still need to go with me to get the team uniform and take some makeup photos. The coach saw Yi Sun enter the door and quickly explained his arrangements. Yi Sun nodded and agreed to the coach's arrangement. In the blink of an eye, the afternoon training match began. As soon as Yi Sun entered, he saw the information posted on the public screen by Wii. Chapter 8. Difficult Brothers and Difficult Brothers 59E and 60E. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh, why is the stateless person missing? Is this the new recruit you recruited for trial training? How about practicing with us? I hope you can let us feel the pressure in the middle, okay? The wee people started this game jokingly. Robbery. The person from we couldn't help but be stunned as they watched Yi-sun lock the robbery in seconds. For this version, it is not very dominant, and for the team, if the C. position cannot be eliminated, the team battle effect is not very significant. What's going on? However, what surprised them was that their middle single was hit hard by this newcomer and couldn't be found. Killed 4 times by the newcomers of OMG alone. I thought I could teach this newcomer what a professional athlete is. Our players didn't dare to be careless anymore, so they quickly showed their spirit to play and started the next round. But there was no ban on Yi-sun's calamity, anyway it was a training competition, and they also wanted to see what other tricks Yi-sun's calamity could play. As a result, Yi-sun hit even harder in this game. Although WE's middleman was only killed 3 times, their ADC was killed 5 times by OMG's newcomers alone. After a BO3 game, the Wii starting players were really defeated. Sleeping slot, this newcomer really has something to do with his operation. Where did you find such a fierce newcomer? This robbery, it can be said that LPL can hardly find a second robbery with such fierce operations. Why don't newcomers come directly to Wii and take off? Some even dug the wall feet directly in front of OMG. Hee, you guys are dreaming. Going chuckled and left the room. Yi-sun also followed behind and left the match room. The coach watched the entire training match with immense satisfaction in his eyes. Although his original intention was to see Yi-sun's card master and team reconcile, now it seems that Yi-sun's calamity has brought him even greater surprises. He can be certain that just this hero doesn't have to worry about exploding in the middle in the upcoming games. And the cards that Yi-sun had not yet arrived and played made the coach even more excited. If according to Zhou Shi's statement, Yi-sun is only a card master who can make a move, and other heroes are just playing casually, that would be even more terrifying. With this in mind, the coach quickly pulled Yi-sun to apply for registration as a professional athlete, take makeup photos, and other trivial matters before finally letting Yi-sun go. It was already very late after finishing this set, and Yi-sun was so tired that he went straight back to his room to rest. With 2 eyes closed, the next day arrived in an instant. Coach OMG and the players chartered a car to the venue of the competition. WR Sports Center. Looking around, there is a long queue at the entrance, waiting for the opening of the entrance time. The weather is pretty good, with no clouds for thousands of miles, accompanied by a gentle breeze, which makes people feel comfortable. Yi-sun sat in the car, watching faces flash past him, and suddenly remembered that not long ago, he was also one of them. Just didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, he transformed into a professional player. After getting off the car, they followed the official staff's lead all the way to the rest room of OMG. Today is the critical moment, brothers, come on. Big brother Gogoing spoke confidently, cheering on the others. Come on. Yi-sun also increased his volume and said. Good. Very energetic. Uzi also joined their shouting queue. As for the Elixir and Noxia, they looked at the top, middle, and bottom 3 people like fools. However, after a while, staff came over to inform them that they should go on site early to debug the equipment and be prepared. Under the guidance of the coach, the 5 starting players stepped out of the training room door and arrived at the game venue. 2 official commentators have already sat on the podium to start the pre-match warm-up. Welcome everyone to the 2015 summer regular season OMG vs LGD showdown. I believe both sides will bring us a wonderful match. The doll wore glasses and wore a earphone behind her ear, smiling at the screen. However, the situation is very serious for OMG because they cannot lose a single game in the upcoming regular season, otherwise they will have to bid farewell to the playoffs, said Longhair beside them. Yes, Teacher Longhair is right, but OMG has also undergone new changes. They have replaced a newcomer with a single player. The doll directly sent a heavy bomb to OMG fans. Fans also exploded upon hearing this news, with a large number of barrage comments coming up. Ah! Changing people. Did you replace the stateless state? Why do you have to change players in the game of life and death? The combination of elixirs and the stateless center field is definitely a bit more powerful than newcomers. I heard that the newcomer is still a master of Korean clothing. The master can also play professions. I can join me too. OMG is in trouble. I don't know what the management thinks, for belts and one master. OMG's situation is more like finding a new person to take over the blame. The commentator was dissatisfied with not seeing a large number of bullet comments and continued to explain. 10 team members from both sides have already taken their seats one after another, and the newcomer OMG looks very eye-catching, as if according to official data, he is 180 centimeters tall, said the doll with a smile. The director also thoughtfully gave Yi-sun a lens focus. Indeed, it looks very different from us crooked melons and cracked dates, Chong Mao joked. Okay, the contestants have finished debugging the equipment and started BP. The doll nodded and started looking at the screen. In the current version, except for the Revenge Spear which is too bug-prone, most of the other banned slots are reserved for the OP heroes in the version. LGD couldn't figure out how deep Yi-sun's new hero pool was at the moment, and could only cautiously discard the Spear of Revenge, Card Master, and Void Walker according to version habits. I originally wanted to see the true strength of Yi-sun Card Master in this game. Seeing the card being banned, the coach tightened his brow. OMG directly defeated the Sorcerer, the Dark Woman, and the Frost Witch. Although it was not possible to limit Wei Shen's hero pool, some versions of OP heroes were still banned in order to alleviate Yi-sun's discomfort in the game. Coach, can I have a team? Going habitually applied to the coach. You can take it. The coach nodded, tacitly agreeing to the idea of going. The performance of the people and horses in the current version is still impressive, let alone the people and horses who are going, there is nothing to say. I took the snowman and Jinx directly from the other side. I guess the other side is going to play 4 guarantees and 1. The coach took a notebook and unconsciously tapped the surface. Chapter 9. Enterprise Level Understanding. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. IMP's Jinx is almost one of his signature heroes. Moreover, the card has already been dropped by LG Ban. If the opposing team is a 4 guarantee 1 lineup, it would be even more difficult for Yi-sun to cut in if he were to play loot. Let's choose another position first, said the elixir. Hammer stones and excavators, is there any problem? The coach pondered for a moment and confirmed with the elixir and Nosha. Hammer stones and excavators are both good choices as pioneers in team formation. On the opposite side of the road, it is highly likely to choose the soft support of the guarantor. The hard support with strong team formation can better ensure the ADC's line rights during the alignment process. No problem. Sure. Nosha and the elixir both gave positive answers, while also locking down the 2 heroes of excavator and hammer stone. I estimate that the LGD lineup is likely to have 4 guarantees and 1 gold wire. When placing an order, I will choose a front row that is resistant to beating. Sure enough, LGD directly locked down the big tree when placing an order. Long Hair was analyzing and saw that the Twisted Tree Spirit was instantly locked down. I think I would choose a soft hero that provides protection for Jinkizi, such as Lulu, Fengnu, and so on. The doll also analyzed along with Longmao. As soon as the doll finished speaking, LGD followed suit and selected Fengnu, locking her. I'll choose Wilmom. Uzi weighed the remaining ADC heroes on the field, and the most suitable one was the War Goddess. What about Yi-sun, what do you want to choose? The coach asked Yi-sun for his opinion on a routine basis. The card has already been dropped by LG Ban. If you choose to rob, it is difficult to cut to the opposite C. position in the case of 4 guarantees and 1. Yeah. Without hesitation, Yi Sun gave the answer. It's not easy to cut into this lineup on the opposite side. Feng Nu is really good at pushing people, and there's also Zhou. The coach clearly told Yi Sun all his concerns. It's okay, I'm confident, Yi Sun said confidently. The biggest problem is that his beginner gift package only gave him the hero of peak Faker robbery. If the coach replaced him with another hero at the last minute, he might have been exposed in his true form. Moreover, even with the protection of the Wind Girl tree, Jinkizi is still a crispy ADC without displacement. As long as the timing is appropriate enough, a set of skill combos can be dropped in seconds before leaving gracefully. The coach had intended to directly refuse, but OMG was already on the edge of a cliff. Even if he took a step back, it would be an endless abyss. He can't tolerate any possibility of mistakes at all. But the coach suddenly recalled Yi Sun's performance with the Stateless solo, and the situation was very easy, killing Zijie twice in a row. Few professional athletes can perform such operations. After thinking for a moment, the coach took a deep breath and patted Yi Sun's shoulder, saying, "Sure, let's choose." Well, to gain the trust of the coach, Yi Sun certainly didn't want to disappoint the coach's expectations. Among the newcomers of OMG, they only chose the Lord of Shadow Flow. Daring to choose a hero with extremely high difficulty in the upper limit of operation in front of Wei Shen is truly a newborn calf not afraid of tigers. The doll was surprised to see that Jie was almost instantly locked. Wei Shen is not willing to be outdone, he directly chose the nine-tailed demon fox as the front line. The middle lane is completely a competition between two assassins. Long Hair shouted, "This tough middle lane situation should attract the attention of many viewers. I think Wei Shen has an advantage. Foxes have long hands, and the consumption before level 6 is too uncomfortable for Kai." The doll is not very optimistic about the development of Kai. Even more so, some bullet comments started to make a fuss when they saw Yi Sun select the Master of Shadow Flow. Did you make a mistake? OMG is in a life and death situation, but are new players still using these heroes for show operations? It's useless. Done, it feels like OMG has already given up on itself. First, it's a last-minute replacement, and then it's a newcomer's quick selection. How can we play this? Enterprise-level understanding. OMG's senior management has their own ideas, which we, as ordinary people, cannot fully understand. Now it can be confirmed that the newcomer was purely pushed up by OMG to take the blame. I want to laugh at this BP. With a barrage of jokes, the lineup of both sides has been finalized. Blue OMG. The main wheel of the human, horse, excavator, and shadow flow, Mahammer stone red LGD. Big tree snowman, nine-tailed demon fox, golden silk wind girl. The countdown to the game interface has started, and 10 players have selected their rune talents. After a while, the game is loaded. The first game between OMG and LGD, start. After buying the equipment, I walked directly to the upper wilderness to help the excavator stand guard in the wilderness. Upon seeing the elixir, he walked directly to the opposite wild area, as if feeling uncomfortable with Yi Sun. However, as soon as they went, the excavator had an accident. He was about to dive into the triangular grass in the lower half of the area and stand, but he didn't expect the figures of 5 LGD people to appear directly in the grass. Why didn't I hear the footsteps coming from the opposite side, even though I only clicked the W skill at level 1 in seconds? The elixir thought in terror. The big tree was tied up with the W skill and restrained, and the excavator could not move. Windwoman, Snowman and Jinkizi followed the skill piece respectively. Just as the elixir was about to hand over its flash, it couldn't help but be enchanted by the fox's E-skill. 5 people didn't even need to hand over their flash, so they simply filled the damage and killed the excavator. LGD, we won less, nine-tailed fox, killed OMG, leveling, void escaping beast. Wei Shen takes a drop of blood. Unexpectedly, the excavator didn't notice the position of the 5 people on the opposite side. Feng Nu arrived the latest and could hear her footsteps. Unfortunately, the excavator was careless and sent out a drop of blood. Long Mao sighed. In this way, the opponent of the robbery became even more uncomfortable. They were originally facing veteran middlemen like Wei Shen, let alone now that Wei Shen has also taken a hit. The doll couldn't help but feel silent for the future of the robbery. This wave is a big loss, OMG. Not only did it send out a blood, but even the wild area of the elixir may give it away. For OMG, this game is hell level difficulty from the beginning. Is OMG really going to go far? Why did you just walk into the triangular grass? Noxia urgently questioned the elixir. It was already the most severe situation, and everyone was prepared to take the game seriously. However, to their surprise, the elixir delivered a drop of blood in an unexpected way. What can I do if the other side invades my wilderness? Replied the spiritual medicine impatiently. At the bottom of my heart, I instinctively threw the pot at the newcomer Yisun. If it were to be changed to Stateless, he would definitely choose to go to the upper half of the field to stand guard with Stateless. It's okay, it's not a big problem. The fox learned the charm skill to keep people, so I'll be much better at it in the early stages. Yisun calmed his teammates' emotions. Chapter 10. Wei Shen was killed alone by a newcomer. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. If he starts off in a state of self-abandonment, it's difficult for him alone to support this team. Stay calm, let me see, said the big brother confidently. He dared to stand up and say these words, first to stabilize everyone's mentality, and then to set a small goal for himself. He wants to kill the big tree on the opposite side alone. The elixir has also turned off, and I dare not go to the wild area to see the red buff anymore. Instead, I switch to the upper half of the area and directly activate the blue buff. On the middle route, the military line has been gradually launched, gathering at the river channel of the middle route. The fox hasn't appeared in the middle yet, so it seems that he received 1 health and went home to replenish a wave of equipment. It is estimated that Wei Shen saw a newcomer on the opposite side whom he had never seen before, and boldly added a murder ring after releasing the Duolon ring. Jia stood in the middle, waiting for the last drop of blood from the soldier to die before taking action to level A. The fox arrived late and grabbed the pawn line, causing Wei Shen to miss the experience of 2 soldiers and 1 soldier. But it's not a big problem, after all, foxes have the advantage of 1 blood, which can make up for these regrets. Due to the charm of Wei Shen's first-level learning, there were some shortcomings in replenishing troops, which also made Jia much more comfortable in the early stages. The fox and the robber tugged at each other in the middle, and although the robber could twist the fox's skills, he still ate the fox twice to level A. But the price paid by the fox was also not small. When the fox was consuming the opponent, the loot instantly reached the second level of a WQ set and the second company output a wave of the fox. The fox's health instantly decreased by almost a quarter. The exchange of blood in the middle lane actually causes the fox to lose a bit more. The doll noticed that the several waves of pulling and consumption in the middle lane actually had a better advantage in the amount of blood looted. Yeah, Wei Shen was probably facing a newcomer, so he was a bit careless in his positioning, but he quickly adjusted now, said Long Mao as he looked at the situation in the middle. It has to be said that the newcomer's positioning is really good. After being in the middle for so long, he only managed to get 2 flat A shots that he couldn't avoid. The fox's other skills were all reversed by its positioning, exclaimed the doll. Except for small-scale friction in the middle, the rest of the line looks very peaceful. I think the excavator has a chance to come to the middle to help newcomers catch a wave of Wei Shen, and the combination of flash top and loot will ignite the flames. Chan Mao's pace gradually accelerated. I think so too. It's best to catch a wave before the fox reaches 6. Meanwhile, Yisun also mentioned in his voice that he wanted the spiritual medicine to come to the middle and help catch a wave. Can the excavator come to the middle road? There's a chance, Yi Sun asked in the team's voice as he twisted off the fox's skill. I'm squatting on the road, the elixir answered impatiently. Yi Sun glanced at the road from a sharp angle, and the big tree was almost forced to merge with the tower by the people and horses. Are you still squatting on the road? However, Yi Sun did not complain directly, but instead began to look for opportunities to kill the opposite fox alone. He and the fox have been at level 5 for a long time, and it is estimated that by collecting the next wave of troops, they can reach level 6. It's the best time for a single kill. With this thought in mind, Yi Sun threw out his Q skill again, released the boomerang in his hand, took away the 2 small soldiers in the front row, and once again scraped off a trace of the fox's health. Before this, Shen had already knocked off his blood bottle to make up for the health line consumed by the previous robbery, so that when he is consumed again, he can no longer rely on his blood bottle to restore health. Although Jie was also defeated by the fox quite a few times, he still had 3 bottles of blood medicine on his body. A wave of artillery troops slowly emerged from behind both sides of the middle road and converged again into the middle road. This is the wave of troops. Yi Sun remained calm and began to wait for the opportunity. The fox seemed to feel like it needed to reach 6 quickly and started using the Q skill to clear the line. However, what Shen didn't expect was that he was about to level A with his last round of artillery, and when he was about to level 6, he had already leveled A with a front row soldier and reached level 6. Almost at the moment of the 6th level robbery, he disappeared directly to the spot and turned into a black mist firmly embedded in the fox's body. As one of the top singles players in LPL at present, Shen decisively flashed down the tower when he saw the big move coming up. Jie followed the fox to the bottom of the defense tower, and he came out directly from the effects that could not be selected by the ultimate move. The Weka combo ignited it. The fox's health line was instantly depleted by nearly half, and Shen estimated that with the subsequent damage and ignition of the Calamity's ultimate move, his fox would die suddenly. He didn't have time to think much and threw the E skill in the direction of exchanging shadows with the W skill. In order to deal more damage with the ultimate move, Jie resisted the 2 jumps of the defense tower and dealt fox damage, with less than 1/3 of his health. However, when the fox's E skill charm was about to fly onto the body of the robber suddenly used the shadow of the R skill to shift his position. The fox's ultimate move of being robbed behind him exploded, and the last trace of health was ignited and taken away directly. Jie Xiaosa turned around and continued to repair the small soldier who had just been killed. OMG-02 killed LGD, we won less, 9-tailed fox. On the commentary stage, I watched this wave of mid-lane single kill and was pleasantly surprised. At level 6, the experience of robbing a soldier happened to turn into a fox's talisman. When robbing reached level 6, he directly killed the fox by crossing the tower. The doll's eyes were shocked. Does Shen have a chance to kill back? No, the E skill's charm has been lost, and the damage calculated by the newcomer is just right. Just in the last second, it ignited the last trace of the fox's health. Long Hair said quickly. The newcomer killed Shen directly at level 6 alone. I can't believe it, and Shen still took 1 health. OMG's small disadvantage in the early stage has been brought back. Shen not only suffered a blow with his head, but also lost a wave of troops, analyzed Long Mao. And the biggest impact of being killed in the middle is that the wild area will also be affected, so the snowman needs to pay attention to the timing when OMG's middle and wild linkage may invade. The doll watched as the snowman cautiously explored his field of view in the wild area. The live streaming rooms that pass by in large numbers are also filled with disbelief. Sleeping trough. I didn't read it wrong, did I? Did the thief take the fox away directly? Shen was killed by a newcomer from OMG alone. No way, right? When I saw the robbery move, I thought this beat was crazy. I didn't expect it to really be able to kill alone. There's no way. The fox has been stuck with a soldier's experience, Otherwise once the fox reaches level 6, do you think there will be a chance for looting? It's just that Wei Shen was careless. I didn't expect this newcomer to have so much courage and dare to go straight to level 6.